Hi everybody, welcome to the Test Automation Day online for retail and e-commerce. My name's Matt Bruun, I'm from Source Labs. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the event today. Before we get going, just a few housekeeping notes to go over so that just to help the participation in the event today. So you should see in your Zoom webinar control panel at the bottom of your Zoom window. So please submit any there's a Q&A feature there, so please use that to submit any questions for today's presenters. In addition to submitting any questions you have for yourself there, you'll also be able to view and upvote questions submitted by other attendees. And you can send in those questions at any time during the presentations, and we'll answer as many as we can as we go through those, and also during the session later on today with the panel discussion. If you have any technical issues or need any support during the event, you can contact us using the Zoom chat function or email madeline.banks@sourcelabs.com, and that's in the chat window too at the moment. So then just finally, a quick reminder that it is being recorded today so that we can make it available to other people, and you will receive an email with links to view all of the recordings and the follow-up slides after the event. So okay, so just to walk you quickly through the agenda. So I'll kick us off today with the welcome that we're doing at the moment, and then give you an overview around what's new at Source Labs. Many of you are customers already, and it's good to be always able to share with you what's different, what we see going on in the industry, and how we're adapting to that as well. I'll probably go a little bit over that because we're starting slightly later, and then Laszlo will pick up with a focus on digital confidence and test automation, and specifically the value for this group of audience in retail and e-commerce. We'll take a short break for about 10 minutes, and then we'll come back, and Andy, one of our solution engineers here, will introduce Autonomic to everybody and how it can help the supply chain there. And then finally, we're very welcome and delighted to have Matthew Early from Boots with us today. He and Andy will run a panel and discussion towards the end of the session, and then we'll wrap up and close with a couple of minutes to go at the end. So, as I said, any questions, please put those into the chat window there. So, okay, so I will crack on. So, just advance the slide. So, a lot of you will have seen this from Source Labs, or I hope you have as well, that we have gone through a process in the past year or so of really sort of trying to define what is it that we do, what's our purpose, what is it that we bring to all of our customers, and that's really to help you create a world of digital confidence. Now that's a big statement, so I just want to explain what we mean by that in a little bit more detail. So really that digital confidence means people in your organizations, you yourselves in your roles, but also the people at the heads of divisions and the heads of departments, and even in the C-suite of organizations, knowing that the digital experience, which is now more important to customers and to you as a business than it ever was before, it will work perfectly every time. So you're creating that perfect, best possible experience. It will work exactly as you intend, and at every time, regardless of how anyone is accessing that, what device they're on, what operating system, what browser, and so on. And that's what digital confidence means, knowing that experience will be perfect for your customers. And so with that in mind, how do we see the future of test developing? And this is really about making, I think test and quality assurance has always been such a key component of the software development lifecycle, but now it's beginning to enable more things by getting test and quality right at a practitioner level and technology owners understanding this as well. It enables organizations to take bigger, better decisions around risk and innovation. So let me break that down a little bit and explain what that means. So if you're in an organization and you're concerned about risk or innovation, what you're trying to do is trade things off. In the past, you were looking at how do we support bugs and how do we reduce our technical debt at a technical level. As I say, at a business level, you don't want the bugs because of the impact that has on customer experience. As you look forward to the future of test, instead of it becoming about supporting bugs, it becomes about features. How do we develop, release, and augment and continue to innovate around new features? And then for the technical people, it's more around that architectural innovation that enables you to do more things faster and release things at higher quality with greater velocity all the time. And as you can see, there are a number of kind of different benefits on the left there, everything from time to market and continuity to just a higher level of ROI. And then if you look at the technical owners, there's the concept of shifting left has been around for a long time now, and instead of test and QA being right in that that staging phase now, more and more test is shifting left. It's also shifting right as well and feeding back into there. But that sort of development and test are being brought closer and closer together all of the time. And I talk to organizations each week, and we're seeing organizations move some of their QAs and SDETs and out into the teams, shifting them left and right as well, but still maintaining that sort of critical function in the middle there around the integration, the staging for the focuses as well. So the technical owners that sit in that stage are looking for, how do I leverage the greater set of tools that is now available, but without overwhelming my organization? And that's a difficult balance to achieve. And then finally, for the practitioners, this is where it starts to get a little bit more detailed, and where I think Source Labs has been particularly strong is around looking at that balance between the time and effort that goes in, moving from manual and exploratory tests all the way through to full automation tests. And you'll hear a little bit more about this from Laszlo as we go on today. But again, that's still about everything from velocity and debugging to being able to provide feedback from production and the application monitoring back into the development stages, so that everybody can do a better job of producing higher quality products and releases at a far quicker velocity. So, and as always, what we're finding for all companies, basically I could reduce this to a sentence that says, you got to do more quickly and with less resources or less cost. There's that constant sort of challenge of meeting that. And that's really where Source Labs is starting to build out what we do and help our customers deliver against those things. And so, this situation that we're in at the moment, it comes with risks and it comes with upsides as well. So let me just explain a little bit about what that looks like. It says here the stakes are high. If you get this right, it's great. There's just some examples from 3 different companies here. I'll start with the one on the end, actually. Ultimately, this is all about great customer experience, that digital confidence that drives that great experience. You get this right, and as it says here, customers with those good or great experiences are likely to spend 140% more than customers who last had a poor experience with that brand. The flip side of that is on the left-hand side there, the subtly red-coded data points there as well, that some customers will abandon a brand after just one bad experience, up to a quarter of those, and that comes from McKinsey. And then the HBR talks about the number of customers that will decrease or stop spending altogether after a bad experience. And again, that's a really high number. So I think people are always aware of the importance of getting this right, but these are just 3 different metrics that help draw out the importance of this. And then let's carry on that kind of risk and reward thing here. So really what we're talking about here when it comes back to testing, if those were the outcomes, these are very much the kind of the things that drive those outcomes. So testing is often seen as the bottleneck in releasing the new products and so on. And so by improving that speed to market, but delivering better products faster as well, that has a huge benefit in terms of outcomes for customers and outcomes for your businesses. In terms of costs, by getting this wrong, trying to fix bugs and issues post-release can be up to 100 times more expensive than getting it right, obviously pre-release. The flip side of getting that right as well is by releasing really good products with lower development costs means just simply much higher revenue straight away. And then finally, something which is always a little bit intangible, a little bit hard to measure, but that trust. Go back to digital confidence. You having the confidence that your customers will have the best possible experience every time. Getting that right means you get happy customers who go and tell their friends. Getting it wrong, you not only might you lose that customer, you also might lose other customers through people doing worse than advocating, but advocating against you and so on. And we've all seen the way that can spread. So, and there's a concept of the liquid customer that came from a paper Accenture released a few years ago. And they basically talk about how we now take all of our digital experiences, the very best of them, whether it's within a retailer or a bank or something that's online, like even our utilities and billing or our mobile phone bills and so on. And we tend to take the best of those experiences and then project them onto other online brands and online presences. And we now have a really high expectation as consumers, and it's up to us in the roles that we do to make sure that we're there to meet those expectations, because the cost of meeting them, the cost of not meeting them can be very high, but the opportunity when we do meet them can be very rewarding. And then just to make this a little bit more specific to this audience today for retail and e-commerce. So again, another 3 data points here. Only one of them that we can attribute to one, that's the one in the middle, which is Walmart, one of our customers. They went from doing manual tests to doing more than 50,000 automated tests per day. So huge benefit of going from manual testing to being able to run so much more at an automated level, which means their coverage and their digital confidence goes up significantly. And then a couple of other data points there. By automating testing, they've gone from monthly deployments to multiple deployments per day, and that reduction in testing time has gone down by 92%. So there's like a double benefit there. Not only does their time go down, but their release cycles go up, and so they're able to keep releasing better products at higher velocity. And then another retailer there saved around about 1 million engineering hours over the course of a year by automating their testing processes. So just to give you, I started out by saying part of this section was on what's new at Source Lab. So what you can see here on this slide is at the top there, the traditional Source Labs, what those of you who are customers know us for. Test automation around virtual and desktops and OSs and browsers, emulators and simulators, and then real devices as well. The ability to test across 3,000 or 4,000 different devices. Some of the ones I don't even know, I didn't know existed. Some of the names of devices I've never seen before, but they're all in our data centers somewhere. And the ability to know that you can test for any application across any one of those different devices, browsers and operating systems, it greatly reduces the amount of time and effort and cost that you need to have in order to run that yourself. So that's what most people know us for. And then at the bottom, a couple of 5 different things that have happened over the past sort of 4 to 5 months. So first of all, we released our visual end-to-end and component testing product. That was via an acquisition of Screener a couple of years ago. That's now fully available for all Source Labs customers. And in recognizing that new frameworks, so where Source Labs have been built on Selenium, we recognize that that isn't necessarily the frameworks that everyone wants to use. And we're seeing lots of new frameworks come out all the time: Cypress, Test Cafe, Puppeteer, Playwright. And we had to adapt and make sure that we could use and enable our customers to use those frameworks as well as they could use Selenium. And then finally, 3 acquisitions made over a 4-month period. API testing, that was candidly, that was a gap that we needed to close in our platform. So we acquired a company called API Fortress, which, as you can see there, API testing and mocking, API monitoring, but also load testing as well. So again, a really key element of making sure that testing can go a lot faster across a lot more, and quite often it's the APIs that are or can be a broken link in that chain, in that DevOps tool chain. And then in February, we announced the acquisition of a company called Autonomic, and that's two things really. It's testing, low-code testing using AI and ML. So the concept of citizen testers, and you think about test shifting left, the ability for developers to not have to become experts in test, but still get the same outcomes as an expert in test would by enabling them to write the intent of a test in plain English. Autonomic converts that to test scripts, and then they can run those test scripts in order to get and prove that the product is working as they intended, or find the gaps where it isn't. And then another critical use case for that is around SaaS apps. So as people roll out their Salesforce or Oracle or SAP SaaS apps, the ability to make sure that those are all working correctly within your organization. And then as those companies update their SaaS, their platforms, the ability to make sure that the tweaks and the tuning that you've done will still work once those updates have been made is a critical function. So if the other products are more about sort of a B2B2C model, so talking about your customers, Autonomic is also about your own users in your own environment being able to leverage and access all the applications that you want. And then finally, the acquisition that we made in March of this year, a company called Test Fairy. And that is, as you can see there, that's really broadening out our mobile play, going into things like app distribution. I don't think we're showing it today, but you can do things like, as you're using Test Fairy, you can also use Test Fairy to distribute the app to the Source Labs data center, the real devices that we have in the top right hand there, as well as then doing things like bug reporting, crash reporting, with varying degrees of sophistication, which are up to you in terms of how automated you can make that, where it just sends things back, or you shake the device and it will picture and capture what's going on and send that back as well. So I'm not going to go into the detail of all of those things today. We don't have time, but we'd love to follow up with you if you are interested in any of those things, traditional Source Labs or the new products and services that we've acquired, and we'll be integrating into the platform as we go. And then talking about that integration into the platform, this is the way that we see it. Across the top there, you've got the different kinds of applications. You've got mobile applications, web apps, and then also the SaaS apps that you're using, and of course the APIs that sit across all of those things. The traditional areas of testing around manual testing, low-code testing, API tests, and then automated tests. And then the kind of outcomes that people look for across the bottom there, everything from performance monitoring to crash monitoring, looking across cross-browsers, emulators, simulators, end-to-end visual testing, and test orchestration across your SDLC. But one of the things that when we talk to customers, we always ask what makes us different is the piece at the bottom, is the expertise and advice. And you'll hear from Laszlo and Andy today, and Matt is a customer of ours as well. And I think one of the things that makes us special to our customers are the solution architects, the customer success managers, who really understand what your business is trying to do and offer advice on how to improve your test strategy as well. So we're not just talking about Source Labs, we're talking about the world of tests, the SDLC, and what we pick up from other customers that we can share with each other around how to get the very best out of this to ultimately get those customers the outcomes they want and the digital confidence that you and your organizations demand. And really, that's sort of to try and summarize that breaks it down to people, to simplify it, software that just works. We all know that your customers, particularly in this age and after the past year when so much has moved to either digitally, dominated by digital or entirely digital, customers demand that their experiences just work. Their experience across every touch point will be reliable and work perfectly every time. And so what we're going to do today is to take you through that in a little bit more detail with Laszlo and then Andy, and then a panel discussion at the end with Matthew Early from Boots and Andy from Source Labs as well.